Hey.
Hey, son.
What's up?
Do you want to be on our podcast?
No.
Hey guys, it's us!
Once again.
Should we be talking about this?
I'm Chance.
I'm Rachel, and this is episode 83. I thought it was 84.
We're not there yet.
I stand corrected. 83. So what do you got, Chance? Anything new?
The world is a crazy place.
Oh my god. This is true. It is true.
You know, all the things that have been happening lately. It's just...
You want to name just
wild.
One of them?
You know.
Just one thing?
Well, there was, that incident.
Oh, yeah, that one?
That happened.
Yeah? How'd it make you feel?
Inspired.
Okay. Hey, I do want to talk about, there's a show that just came out on ABC. I think it came out yesterday, and I cannot wait to watch it tonight. And I think that
Outer Range.
No, I don't like that show.
I love that show.
It's called Who Do You Believe?
Huh.
And I feel like it's right on par with everything that we like and everything that you guys like. It's a true crime show. It has limited reenactments, and you know how I hate reenactments.
Can't do it.
I can't do it either. But I think that these are bearable because they interview people on both sides of an incident.
Okay.
And they tell their versions of the story, and at the end, you decide who you believe.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
That's pretty damn interesting.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. All right, you got anything else? We good?
Nope, I'm great. Okay, I'm going to go first this week.
All right, what do you got?
I have the disappearance of Alfred Loewenstein. I think it's Loewenstein. I've heard it pronounced. I've heard it pronounced, yes, that way as well.
Is it the Berenstain Bears or Berenstain?
I don't remember. Berenstain.
No, it's the Mandela effect.
I know.
We all thought it was Berenstain.
Berenstain.
But it's actually Berenstain.
Yeah. So some of my sources are historicmysteries.com.
Ooh.
Wikipedia.
Not so mysterious.
Medium. Okay, that's it.
Why didn't you say and medium?
Okay, so this guy, Alfred Loewenstein, he was born on March 11th, 1877, so a very long time ago, in Brussels, Belgium. And he kind of followed in his father's footsteps. His father was in banking. His father was a banker, actually. And he got into money as well. Alfred, he bought into electric companies and synthetic silks, just as those industries were developing.
What a diverse portfolio he has.
I know it. By the age of 37, he was pretty wealthy. So wealthy that during World War I, he offered his government $50 million, interest-free, to stabilize the Belgian currency.
Oh my God.
Yeah. In return, he would be able to print Belgian francs. Francs?
Right. I like francs better.
But the government turned his offer down. But that's how much money this guy had. In 1908, so now we're in the 1900s.
At least.
He married a woman named Madeline, but there wasn't apparently a whole lot of passion there. They just kind of got along.
Phoned it in.
Right. Alfred, he lived in England where he had an investment business. This allowed him to become one of Europe's most powerful financiers.
Okay.
One of his investments into a chemical company in the 20s got him and his partner over 1 million pounds of profit.
Damn.
He continued to make tons of money because he provided electric power facilities for developing countries, like around the world.
Oh, that's cool.
During the mid-20s, he had become so popular that he was consulted by heads of state all over the world.
Wow.
Yeah. July 4th, 1928, Alfred was the third richest person in the world. And he took off on his private aircraft from an airport in England to fly to Brussels with 6 other people on board. And this plane was a little 3-engine, little propeller plane, not very many seats. So these 6 people that went with him, it was his secretary, his valet, 2 stenographers. Because
what's a stenographer?
Someone basically just takes notes for you.
Oh.
Because apparently he liked to take a lot of notes all the time. There was also the pilot and the mechanic. All of them were employed by Alfred. So on this day, they take off in their plane, and everything was routine. Weather was great. The flight was smooth. And at about 6:30 p.m., while flying southeast over the English Channel at about 4,000 feet, Alfred left his seat and went to the rear of the plane to use the lavatory.
Okay.
It's the bathroom.
Oh, thanks.
After not
I
returning...
thought you meant laboratory. He was just going to go...
There's a laboratory back there. After not returning for a while, it was about like 10 minutes, his assistant, Fred Baxter, went to go check on him.
And the toilet sucked him down.
Oh...
Weren't you scared of that, though, as a kid?
I don't think I really was.
Airplane toilets, they make such a loud noise.
Yeah, they are very loud.
Suck you down, throw you out the plane.
It's
a valid fear.
Right. So his secretary goes to check on him, and he goes to the back of the plane, and there's a door. You open the door, and there's a door on the left that leads to the bathroom, and a door on the right that leads to the outside of the plane.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's just open?
So, I read a couple of different things. I had read that the door that went to the outside was open and just flapping. But I also read that that door was completely shut and he wasn't in the bathroom either. Like he had just vanished from the plane, which I don't think is likely.
Okay.
So what I'm going with is that he wasn't in the bathroom to the left, but the door exiting the plane was open. So Baxter goes to the front of the plane and hands the pilot a note because he can't really communicate. There's just a tiny little window and it's too loud. So he hands him a note and says, "Hey, our boss is gone." And so the pilot, instead of landing at a nearby airfield that was about 5 minutes away where they could alert the Coast Guard, the pilot lands the plane on a beach near Dunkirk. This is in France, where there was a military unit that was training there. The military officer in charge questioned the pilot about what was going on, and after about 30 minutes, he finally gets it out of him that, hey, Alfred Loewenstein, our boss, is missing from our plane.
Why did that take 30 minutes?
I don't know. He was avoiding the questions and everything about it.
Okay.
Both the pilot and the mechanic, they said that Alfred must have bumped against the door, the wrong door, and fell out the plane.
Okay.
They go with this story about what they think happened, and the plane gets transferred to an airfield in France. Tests were done on the plane, and one of the tests that was done, they flew at about 1,000 feet. One of the investigators threw himself against that back door of the plane.
God, he's brave.
Yeah.
Did he have a parachute on?
I don't know the details. This was early 1900s.
Fucking hope so.
And maybe he wasn't throwing himself. Maybe he was just pushing against the door really hard. Which to me is still scary.
Yeah, either way it'll suck you out like the toilet.
Well, no, because what happens is because of the slipstream going around the plane, that door only opened about 6 inches, but then threw the guy back into the plane.
Huh.
So basically they find out that it would be impossible for someone to open the door by themselves while it's in flight.
So, and you may not know this because it may not have been in what they found, but if they could you force it past the slipstream? Like,
no,
get it open just enough to where the air could take it and rip it. Well, I don't know.
No, because the door opened, it would open against the wind. So
I
the
see what
plane's
you're
flying.
saying.
I should have stated that earlier.
No, I totally get what you're saying, though. Like, if anything, it would slam it shut.
Exactly.
Instead of ripping it back open.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, and it's spring-loaded, and
I guess airplane engineers know what they're doing. Do you remember that story? This is such a crazy offshoot, but it reminded me of it when you were talking about the guy trying to open the door in the plane. Do you remember the story of the guy that built a skyscraper and he would bring, I feel like it was like interns through, and he would talk about...
Because there was something crazy about the building.
The windows.
They had tours and stuff of the building.
Yeah, and the windows were like so sturdy that he would demonstrate by running across the conference room and slamming himself into the window.
Yeah.
And he did it and went out like the 58th floor and died.
Yeah.
That's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, I hate that story.
Sorry about that.
So he goes missing on July 4th, and 15 days later, on July 19th, his body was found in the water and was taken by fishing boat to the shore, where his body was identified by its wristwatch.
Oh, wow.
An autopsy revealed a fracture in the skull and several broken bones, which would have happened if you fell from a plane.
Right.
And it was shown that Alfred was alive when he hit the water. So
No.
that'd be terrifying. He was buried in the cemetery, but his name was never carved into the headstone. So technically he's buried in an unmarked grave.
Oh.
And he was the third richest person in the world.
Yeah, that's shitty.
Yeah. And his wife didn't even attend the funeral.
Well, it was a loveless marriage.
It was.
That's still pretty shitty of her.
Yes. So the New York Times, they said that Alfred's employees noted that he had kind of become absent-minded, and he must have just accidentally gone out the wrong door.
Okay.
And that's the story.
Right.
That he went out the wrong door while it was in the air, even though they proved you couldn't open the door while it was in the air.
Yeah, that's weird.
But that's the whole story that everybody goes with.
Mm-hmm.
There's another theory that he had some corrupt business practices, which would have made sense because when you're dealing with, you're the third richest person in the world,
right.
You've probably done some shady stuff. But it was thought that some of those practices were going to come to light, and so he decided that he wanted to kill himself.
But he couldn't open the door.
No, he couldn't open the door.
So that theory doesn't work.
Exactly. But that's what a lot of people think.
Okay.
There's some of these theories are, you assume that you could open the door in flight.
Okay.
In 1987, William Norris wrote a book called The Man Who Fell from the Sky. And in his book, he says that Alfred was thrown out of the plane by the pilot, or had him thrown out of the plane under the pilot's orders, because Alfred's wife wanted to gain control of Alfred's money.
So he was thrown out of the plane on the pilot's orders?
Yeah, so...
By the pilot on the pilot's orders?
No. It was either the pilot went back and threw him out, or the pilot had somebody else inside the plane. Because there was a separation between the cockpit and the cabin.
Okay, but if the door couldn't open...
So, what some people think, and this is what also the author, William Norris, that door was removed. It could have been removed from the outside of the plane by opening a window. For this theory to work, the whole plane has to be in on it. Okay. So, the door's removed from the outside of the plane by reaching out a window. And
what?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And the plane's going about 115 miles an hour. So it's not so insanely fast that this isn't feasible.
Okay.
Door then gets dropped and they push him out.
Well, then they land and the door is there again.
No, because they're flying for a while. They're over the water. So that door is... Oh, are you saying the door's gone?
Yeah.
Okay. That's because there was a door stored in the cargo area underneath the plane. When they got to the beach... When they landed on the beach, it took a little while for the military unit to get up to them where they landed. And they think during that time, a door got reaffixed back onto the plane. There is a French fisherman that said he saw what could have been a parachute or something falling from the sky at the time that they were up in the air over the English Channel.
Meaning that could have been the door?
Could have been the door, yeah. Could have been Alfred Loewenstein himself parachuting away and faking his death.
And then a dead body. Oh, because they only identified him by the wristwatch.
Right.
Huh.
And some people say that body was decomposed more than it should have been.
Yeah, that's hard to say, though, with the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Plus, this is early 1900s.
Right.
So this author of this book, Norris, he also found out that Alfred's business partners, Albert Pam and Frederick Sarvazi, benefited from his death.
I'm sure.
So their company's stock soared after they got a profit of about $13 million, which apparently came from nowhere.
Okay.
That $13 million is the exact same amount of insurance policies taken out on Alfred before he died.
By who?
His wife.
Mm-hmm. So we're both under the same conclusion, I'm going to assume, that he didn't go out of that plane on accident.
Yes, that's what I think.
So it had to have been either a planned murder, which everyone in the plane had to be in on it.
Uh-huh.
And that makes sense because everybody could split the profits if he was the richest man in the world.
Right.
Or he did it to commit suicide.
Which I don't think, because he was a strong Catholic.
Oh, okay.
So he wouldn't have gotten a religious burial if that was the case.
Yeah, I think that might be frowned upon in the Catholic community. So the other option is that he faked his death, which I don't believe that. You're going to parachute into the ocean?
Yeah.
Or like what, have a boat waiting down there and